Jeff White, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make limoncello. Limoncello is an Italian liqueur that's made traditionally from Sorrento lemons that are zested and then steeped in some kind of a grain alcohol and then mixed with a simple syrup to make a liqueur that you can use in cocktails, sometimes mixing with club soda and lemon lime soda. It's very good. You can use traditional lemons for it as well. They just have a slightly different flavor to it. I will warn you, it takes an awful lot of lemons and the zesting requires some practice, which I'm going to be demonstrating here in my video today. Next, we're going to have to zest the lemons. This takes a little bit of practice, and I'm going to show you a tool that makes it a lot easier. First time I tried to zest lemons, I tried to use an ordinary peeler, and I quickly discovered this is a very difficult thing to do. The reason why is because what we're trying to get off of the outside of the lemon is just the zest, which is the yellow portion that's on the outside. Now let me show you just how thin the zest really is. Take a look at this cross section of lemon. The part we want is only the yellow portion. That's the zest. Now just underneath that and in between the flesh of the lemon is what's called the pith, P-I-T-H. The pith is bitter, whereas the lemon zest on the outside is kind of sweet and tart. If we get any of the pith into our limoncello, it's going to change the flavor. So we got to be really careful to only get the zest. I'm going to be using to get the zest off of there is one that I bought just for this purpose. It's called a microplaner, and it's going to be able to peel the same way that our standard peeler did, except it's got very small planes on it, which means that it's going to be able to get just the zest off without digging into the pith. I'm still going to want to be careful that as I'm microplaning the outside of the lemon, I'm not getting down to the white portion. To do this, I'm just going to take my lemon and I'm going to run the microplaner across the top. It's going to have a tendency to skip a little bit because these are set at diagonal, and as I'm going to be really careful to look at the color of the lemon to make sure that I'm not getting down to the white. It should still be slightly yellow after I've taken a few passes with the microplaner. If it's white, then I'll know that I've started to go down too far as I've been doing this. And as I take a look now at my lemon, you can see it's not entirely white where I've done the microplaning. It still has a bit of yellow left to it, and the lemon zest that I'm looking for is going to be sitting inside my microplaner. It's going to take me a while because I'm going to have to do basically 7 of these lemons in order to get enough for our limoncello. Now the nice thing about this is the lemons are still usable afterwards. They look kind of ugly and weird on the outside, but you can still use the lemon juice for lemonade or for cooking or other things that you might want to use it for. The only other thing we need to mix in with the lemon zest is going to be either Everclear or vodka. This is very strong stuff, but we are going to be diluting it later with the simple syrup, so it's not going to be at full strength. We're going to want to put 2 cups of Everclear into a jar along with all the lemon zest from 7 lemons, and that's what we're going to be steeping to get the flavor. Now after we finish combining all of the lemon zest and the Everclear or vodka, whichever you decided to use, we need to make sure that that's sealed very tightly in a jar. I used a mason jar that had a decent seal on the top of it. You can see that there's plenty of room left in the jar because the reason I do that is so that I can agitate it a bit while it's steeping. I'll make sure that the lemon is getting kind of stirred up every now and then. And I've got a label on the outside of it, of course, to make sure that I don't mistake it for something else. We're going to leave it in this jar for 30 days. And what that's going to do is help extract some of that oil and some of the lemon zing, I guess, for lack of a better word, and kind of infuse it into the Everclear or the vodka. Later what we're going to do is strain out the bits of lemon zest that are in there so that we have nothing more than just a clear liquid. So now we're going to go ahead and put this up for 30 days and then come back to it. Our next step is going to be to make what's called a simple syrup. Simple syrup is nothing more than just sugar and water, but we are going to have to heat it up in a pan in order to get the sugar and the water to mix together evenly. And this is what we're going to add into our lemon zest / Everclear vodka mixture in order to get kind of a sweet tasting liquid out of it. We're going to add 2 cups of sugar into our pan. Then to go along with that, we're going to add 2.5 cups of water into the mixture. And then we're going to go ahead and put that onto the stove and heat it up on kind of a low heat. And we're going to want to make sure that we're stirring that constantly because we don't want it to burn and stick to the bottom of the pan. If we look down in here, we can see that the sugar is almost fully incorporated into the water. So we have just kind of a sugar water mixture going here. I'm just going to let this steep for just a little bit longer, and then I'm going to take it off of the stove and let it cool before we mix it in with the rest of our mixture. We're ready for the next step. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to open up that jar that has the lemon zest alcohol mixture in it, and we're going to go ahead and strain out all the little bits of lemon zest in it. So I've got a Pyrex measuring cup here ready with a strainer on the top, and over here I've got my limoncello mixture, which is in this mason jar, so I'll just go ahead and break the seal on that. And really carefully, I'm going to go ahead and pour that through the strainer. And try and get out all those little bits of lemon zest so that they're not part of the final mixture that we put together. There we go. And I'm just going to let that sit there for about a minute or so just to make sure that all the liquid drips out of that. Okay, it's finished dripping out, so I'm going to go ahead and take this and go back to another mason jar and pour that lemon zest / alcohol mixture in. Now sometimes this can be a little bit cloudy depending on how good your strainer was, so if it looks that way after the next steeping, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an ordinary coffee filter and I'm going to do one more straining with it to make sure that it has kind of a clear look to it. Got my simple syrup here, which I've put back into the Pyrex. I'm going to go ahead and pour that into my jar, trying not to spill it. As you notice, I was not entirely successful. Of course, it's a good idea to make sure that your jar has enough room for it. In this case, it looks like I picked one that was just the right size. And it's going to look a little cloudy at first, but we're going to go ahead and put the lid on this, and then we're going to put it away for another 30 days, after which we should be able to try it. Now, because I don't have time to wait another 30 days, and this video is due in just a couple days, I'm going to go ahead and use a prior batch of limoncello while the one that we just worked with is steeping. This is one that I did just a couple months ago. Limoncello is best served very, very cold, and so after making I usually keep this jar in the refrigerator so that it's ready to serve. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of this into the shot glass and hold it up to the light so you can see what the texture and the color of it is. Here's what our finished product looks like. It's going to be just a little thick and syrupy. What you're probably going to want to do, rather than drink it straight because it will be pretty strong, is to mix it with something. And club soda is one of the more popular things to mix it with. Lemon lime soda also works, things like 7-Up or Sprite. But it's very good just to sip in its current state. It's just going to be very strong. You can see that it's cleared up a little bit from what the other one looked like. This is because it's had a chance to sit and settle just a little bit. There's still a little bit of particles down the bottom of the jar, but we kind of picked off the top, so we've got a nice clear spot here. That brings me to the end of my how-to video. Thank you for your attention, and salute.